Be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com.
There's your second one you picked. Okay. There's your third one you picked.
Okay. And you said you're doing on this day in history.
Right. And I'll do the obituaries.
Okay, with this.
And then, yeah, you might scroll through some of them. I don't know what that is.
Time is 10 a.m.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Kelly, and I'm here with Carol. We invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel, Monday to Friday, between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. You don't have to lean. You can just...
City manager seeks support from business community for convention center proposal. When talking about a new convention center, Springfield City Manager David Cameron asked a crowd of about 400 of the city's movers and shakers to remember two words, yes and. The words emerged as he listened to people talk about last November's failed vote to increase the city's hotel tax. Cameron said, "The statement reminds Cameron that the city should not lose focus on its other duties. What I've learned in this process is what's getting lost in the community from the citizenry is that we're not listening," Cameron said. "Don't get so caught up in this project that we're forgetting about the needs of the day-to-day people. What people are saying to us is, don't forget about those tasks along the way." Cameron was one of the featured speakers January 8th at Good Morning Springfield, a monthly event hosted by the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce. The event was hosted at the Plaster Student Union Ballroom on the campus of Missouri State University. He used his portion of the program to ask for help from the business community on any future Election Day efforts. His plea to the Chamber's membership came days after a final listening session before the Springfield City Council considers whether to try again in the April 7th election. The city in November asked for a 3% increase to the hotel tax in order to fund the construction of a new convention and event center. During Tuesday's session, attendees shared concerns about a lack of clarity on the project, the use of other sales tax revenue to fund it, and higher hotel taxes potentially driving visitors away. Cameron said Thursday that already the city is adding details to answer some of those concerns, citing a 35-year sunset on the tax and the selection of a specific location downtown. As those plans come together, he asked chamber members to mention how the city can do this while addressing other needs, such as sidewalks, traffic, stormwater, and more, hence the yes and. "Where I need this room to participate is yes and," Cameron said. "Be energetic about Springfield. It's not just one product. Be energetic about what's going on in the schools, what's going on in the university, what's going on in general. It's not one project because I think that's getting lost." Other speakers at the event also indicated support for Cameron's message, including the Chamber's board chair. The main portion of the program featured Jessica Olson, chair of the Chamber's board of directors. In a wide-ranging discussion hosted by Chamber President Matt Morrow, Olson said that 2026 is an exciting year. She made reference to a potential $30 million allocation from the state of Missouri for the convention center project. "We have work to do," Olson said. "We've got $30 million on the table. Why would we not want that?" Morrow said earlier this week that the city's business community might have a more active role generating support for a revised hotel tax increase proposal. The Chamber's board endorsed the November election issue but did not actively advocate for it because of a short timeline. The project last year received a $30 million earmark from the state of Missouri, but that was withheld by Governor Mike Kehoe, who may decide to release it in the future. The city has already set aside a required match of $30 million. The program also featured updates from MSU President Richard B. Williams, SPS Superintendent Grenisha Lathan, and Greene County Presiding Commissioner Bob Dixon. It also included segments featuring sponsors Forvis Mazers and Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Ozarks.
Okay, from the Springfield News-Leader, these are the obituaries for this week. From Thursday, January the 8th, Frank Miller, Springfield, Missouri, born January 1st, 1937. Frank Edwin Miller passed away on December 18th, 2025, surrounded by his adoring family. Catherine K. Dolores Stratman Lowry, age 94, from Jefferson City, Ohio. Catherine K. Dolores Stratman Lowry, 94, of Jefferson City, Missouri, passed away peacefully on Thursday, January the 8th, 2026. Wednesday, January the 7th, 2026. Harold Ambler, age 101, Springfield, Missouri. Harold Ambler, 101, of Springfield, passed away December 26, 2025. Visitation will be held from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Friday, January 30th at Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. Stan Brown of Springfield, Missouri, 71, passed away January 7th, 2026. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. Aurora Dai Lim Sun, age 83. Aurora Dai Lim Sun, age 83, passed away January 2nd, 2026, surrounded by a loving family. She is survived by her husband Woody, children Ann, Amy, and Andy, and many grandsons. Tuesday, January the 6th, 2026, Freddie Lou DePriest, 85, of Aurora, Missouri, passed away January the 5th, 2026. Arrangements provided by Crafton Cantrell Funeral Home. Rita Schaefer, age 71, of Springfield, Missouri, passed away peacefully on January 2nd, 2026. She was born March 27th, 1954, to Orville and Vina Schaefer. Monday, January the 5th, 2026, Charles Atwater, Springfield, Missouri, of 86, passed away December 29th, 2025. Arrangements provided by Gorman Shop Funeral Home. Kathy Valdemar of Springfield, Missouri, 56, passed away December 22nd, 2025. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. Nicole G. Zangarilli, age 79, Springfield, Missouri. Nicole G. Zangarilli, St. Agnes class of 1964, passed away January 3rd, 2026. Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, Sam Sanderson, Springfield, Missouri, 95, passed away December 31st, 2025. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Homes. Friday, January 2nd, 2026, Cynthia Jane Gilpin, 78, passed away December 29th, 2025. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. And for our little fun note, on this day in history, January 9th, 2026, this weekend marks the anniversary of a revolutionary invention. The dagger type, the first successful form of photography, was announced to the world by the French Academy of Sciences on January 9th, 1839, only a week after the first picture of the moon was ever taken. The technique is named for inventor Louis Daguerre, who created it in the 1830s. The discovery's importance is hard to overstate. Photography changed the way we looked at the world and ourselves, and its impact was immediate, becoming that rare technology such as the internet, considered so significant in its intellectual property, was gifted to the world.
This article is from the SBJ, was posted yesterday, January 8th. Southwest Missouri cities receive funding as part of nearly $17 million in statewide grant awards. The Southwest Missouri cities of Crane, Fairplay, and Kimberling City are included in a statewide community development block grant funding round totaling roughly $16.7 million through the Missouri Department of Economic Development. The three cities combined are receiving roughly $2 million in grant funding, according to a news release. The highlighted cities are located within Springfield Business Journal's coverage area of 50 miles outside of Springfield. The funding comes from the CDBG program's fiscal 2025 competitive grant cycle. Funds are earmarked for projects including street and roadway repairs, demolition, stormwater and drainage improvements, and construction of public facilities. The three local grants awarded are as follows. Kimberling City, $752,324 general infrastructure grant for sidewalk improvements. Fairplay, $622,594 general infrastructure grant for roadway improvements. Crane, $583,700 in community facilities grant for Crane Creek City Park improvements. Every grant awarded is addressing critical needs, including public safety, while making communities stronger, Governor Mike Kehoe said in the release. We look forward to the positive results that the CDBG program helps achieve by providing more secure foundations for success.
From the Springfield News-Leader, the historic Jefferson Avenue footbridge rises again above railroad tracks. After months on the ground while getting a facelift, the historic Jefferson Avenue footbridge is standing tall again. The full span of the bridge was reinstalled across the railroad tracks Wednesday, January 7th, though rehabilitation work still continues. The pedestrian bridge has been closed to the public for more than 9 years after structural safety concerns were discovered. With no funds immediately identified to address the problem, the long-anticipated rehabilitation and improvement work finally began last year. The project seeks to repair and replace deficient structural members, stairs and the wooden decking, apply new paint system, and install lighting. 2 elevators will be added, one on each side, to make the bridge accessible and comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Per an agreement with BNSF Railway, the bridge was also raised an additional 3 to 4 feet to improve clearance. The fact that the bridge spans 13 railroad tracks and dates back to 1902 made the project especially complex and more costly. The construction team decided the best approach was to disassemble the bridge in parts and lay it on the ground for the work to be completed. Those looking north from Commercial Street the past few months have seen barren tracks and blue sky, but on Wednesday the century-old image of the footbridge returned as the bridge was put back together piece by piece. While the bridge may be up again, it is not yet fully complete. According to a city news release, the additional work includes touch-up paint, testing, installation of the bridge decking, electrical and lighting systems, and the construction of access points on both sides of the bridge, which will include both stairs and elevators. The full completion of the project is expected in the spring. A rededication ribbon-cutting ceremony has already been planned for the footbridge on May 2nd as part of Springfield's Route 66 Centennial Kickoff Celebration, according to the Kickoff event website. The total cost of the project is approximately $13 million, funded largely through an $8 million state appropriation. Marta Mies covers local government at the News-Leader. If you have feedback, tips, or story ideas, contact her at mmieze@news-leader.com.
This article is from the lifestyle section of the 417 magazine. Missouri state researchers map the remnants of an unknown Amazon culture. Using LiDAR technology to see through dense jungle, 2 Missouri state researchers are mapping a new discovery. Archaeologists around the world dream of making the kind of discovery that Missouri State University's Dr. Daniel Pierce and Christopher Bodine made last year. Deep in the Amazon, the pair uncovered evidence of an unknown civilization using LiDAR technology. What we found are geoglyphs, Bodine said. They're big shapes, circles, squares, 400 feet or so across. Roads or paths radiate from these shapes in different directions. For Dr. Pierce, the journey began with curiosity. Years ago, while studying in Guatemala, he became fascinated by how thick jungles are and how easily entire buildings can be lost in the green. While there, he picked up the nonfiction book, The Lost City of Z by David Grann, a story about an explorer named Percy Fawcett who explored the Amazon and went missing in 1925, never to be found again. And something clicked. I was reading about this guy getting lost exploring the Amazon while I myself was actually in a jungle at the time exploring off trail, Dr. Pierce says. I was like, this would be it, a dream come true. When he returned to the United States, he spent time cold calling people who did any kind of work in the Amazon. After a few years, he landed at Missouri State University and started working with Bodine. The idea of exploring the Amazon still lingered in his mind, and it didn't take much convincing to get Bodine on board. While reviewing open source satellite data, Bodine spotted something that didn't belong. Massive geometric patterns etched into the forest floor, some stretching hundreds of feet across. These clearly weren't natural formations because they were too precise. The team began using LiDAR data, laser-based mapping that can see through trees, and a clearer picture came into view. There were roads connecting the shapes, traces of what could be communal spaces or ceremonial centers. These features are nearly 1,000 miles north of where known sites exist, suggesting this culture was far more widespread than previous researchers ever realized. Dr. Pierce and Bodine are hoping their discoveries can help educate the public. Even though we're not the first people to ever find geoglyphs in the Amazon, we're some of the first people to find them, and this is maybe the first time a lot of people have heard of them, Dr. Pierce says. Being back in Missouri makes the discovery especially meaningful for Bodine. He grew up in the Ozarks, earned his undergraduate degree from the University of Missouri, studied in Europe for graduate school, and is now pursuing his PhD at the University of Arkansas. It would be nice to be able to build something here in the area where someone doesn't have to do that if they don't want to, Bodine says. They can do international high-impact research here. Dr. Pierce, originally from St. Louis, attended the University of Missouri at St. Louis for undergrad. He received both his master's and PhD from the University of Missouri-Columbia. He then worked in France for 2.5 years and then went to the University of Central Florida for a couple of years before finding his place at Missouri State University. In December, Dr. Pierce and Bodine began their in-person journey through the Amazon to see their discoveries for themselves. The data they collected isn't perfect. There are resolution issues, and while it's easy to make assumptions about what they've found through data, it is impossible to say for certain without seeing it themselves. Dr. Pierce says they have the data and plan in place, and it's now a matter of seeing what's truly out there. When they get back, they plan to publish their findings and raise funds for a broader project to map larger areas of the jungle that have never been mapped. They also have several other projects they're working on simultaneously, including ones in Mongolia, Kenya, Greece, Mexico, Cahokia, and Yellowstone National Park. Funding can be a challenge, but through Missouri State and their nonprofit, Terra Incognita Research Institute, they're able to keep going. We're big stuff people, Dr. Pierce says. We were coming from the other universities that do big stuff, so that's what we're used to. We'll find our way.
From the Springfield News-Leader, posted this morning. Ethics panel recommends sanctions for Springfield's reps' obscene text. The Missouri House should order a Democratic lawmaker who sent a vulgar and sexual message to a colleague during the September special session to stay at least 50 feet away from her, the Ethics Committee recommended Wednesday, January the 8th. The committee, with a unanimous vote of its 5 Republican and 5 Democratic members during an October 29th hearing, also recommended that State Representative Jeremy Dean, a Democrat from Springfield, lose his committee seats, undergo sexual harassment prevention training, and have his seat on the House floor and his parking spot removed. The committee's report and recommendations were made public for the first time after they were published January the 8th in the Journal for the opening day of this year's sessions. Ethics Committee Chairman Lane Roberts, a Republican from Joplin, said the recommended punishment is in line with the punishments recommended during past actions of the committee. The Ethics Committee can recommend a range of punishments, including censure and expulsion from the House. Our goal here is to make sure that what we do is balanced, and part of this balance is looking back through our history, how we handled such things in the past, Roberts said. Dean was given 15 days to object to the sanctions and did not. In an interview with The Independent, Dean said he did not object because he accepts that the texts were inappropriate, but he added that he thinks the ethics complaint was motivated by politics. It seems more to me that the Republicans saw this as an opportunity to bash a Democrat in the news while they knew that they were continuing to get bad press and losing elections across the country, Dean said. And so this is an opportunity for them to continue to try and hold on to the state of Missouri when they know things are going downhill for them. On September the 4th, while Dean was engaged in a sit-in on the House floor, he sent a text message to State Representative Cecile Williams, a Republican from Ditmer, while she was participating in a hearing of the House Elections Committee. Lawmakers were in special session in response to a call from President Donald Trump to gerrymander Missouri's congressional districts to make it likely a Republican could win the 5th District seat held by U.S. Representative Emanuel Cleaver, a Kansas City Democrat. At the time of the text, the Elections Committee was taking testimony on a proposal to change how majorities are counted for constitutional amendments proposed by initiative petition. In the text, Dean included a description of an oral sex act with the president and questioned how Republicans could talk while engaged in it. The text message became public when a screenshot of it was shared on social media by former Republican State Representative Adam Schwardron. Dean was watching the committee meeting on an online live stream and sent another text after seeing Williams' reaction, the report states. The report does not describe the content of the second message. Williams was shocked by these messages, which were unprofessional and disruptive to the legislative process, the report states. House Minority Leader Ashley Aoun, a Democrat from Kansas City, removed Dean from his committee assignments and has not placed him on any committees for this year's session. Both Dean and Williams testified during the October 29th hearing, and Dean admitted sending the text, the report states. Dean stated that he recognized that the messages were inappropriate and unprofessional, and that he regretted sending them, the report states. Dean denied any intent to disrupt the legislative process, intimidate Williams, or improperly influence her participation in the committee hearing. The Ethics Committee is the only House committee with equal numbers of Republicans and Democrats and a minority member vice chairman. The 10 members are all approved the sanctions. The committee's unanimous vote shows members thought the conduct was significantly egregious and that we needed to address it, Roberts said. Very serious consequences needed to be commensurate with the conduct, but again, it needed to be balanced with what we historically have done and that we're not guilty of treating one person differently from another. In the interview with The Independent, Dean said he sent the text to Williams because he thought he could joke with her. They are both serving their first terms in the House. Since the freshman bus tour, Representative Williams and I had what I would consider a very good working relationship, and I obviously crossed the line with that text message. He said, I totally accept that. The biggest lesson learned is that you've got to watch your back, Dean said. There are people in this city that you think are your friend, people that you think you can joke with, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are here for their own political gain. This story was first published at MissouriIndependent.com.
Did you know that today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day? There are over 900,000 law enforcement officers in the United States, and they are honored on National Law Enforcement Day, the LEAD, being shown that the community recognizes the difficulty of their job and supports them as they provide a public service. The day is dedicated to all members of law enforcement, but the focus is on police and similar state and local agencies. It was started by Concerns of Police Survivors, or COPS, which partners with organizations across the country to make the day happen. First observed in 2015, National Law Enforcement 2014 Ferguson, Missouri officer-involved shooting of Michael Brown, at a time when there was much scrutinization of police officers and concerns about police brutality. Observance of the day spend it thanking police officers wearing blue and turning on blue lights at their homes. Having a police force is a relatively new concept in the scope of history. During colonial times, forces were part-time and privately funded. Volunteer night watches were also common. Boston started one in 1636, followed by New York City in 1658 and Philadelphia in 1700. These were not very efficient, and those who were put on duty were often put there for punishment. When cities grew larger, night watches were even more ineffective. The first full-time publicly funded police force in the country was formed in Boston in 1838. Boston was a large shipping area, and the need for policing grew out of the need to protect shipping. Merchants had long hired officers to watch over their goods and then found a way to pass off the cost to the public by convincing them it was for the common good. In the South, slavery was the original driving force behind the creation of police forces. Beginning in the early 18th century, officers chased down runaway slaves and prevented slave revolts. Following Reconstruction, many local sheriffs did similar work to that of the earlier patrols by enforcing segregation and the disenfranchisement of freed slaves. By the late 1880s, all major cities had police forces. Officers were there to protect public order, which meant different things to different people. Businessmen with connections to politicians did not want disruptions to their workforce from labor union organizations or organizers and immigrants. Political machines were also rampant at the time, and heads of police were picked by political bosses. It was not until well into the 20th century that there was a move towards the professionalization of police officers. How to observe National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. The best way to celebrate the day is to thank police officers, either in person or by sending a letter to your local law enforcement agency. Other ways to celebrate the day include change your profile picture on social media to the picture at Concerns of Police Survivors, or COPS, and share the public service announcement that they provide on their Facebook page. Share a positive story about law enforcement, either in person or on social media. Support a local COPS chapter. Wear blue clothing in support of law enforcement workers. Turn on a blue light outside of your home or apartment. Organize an event in your community to support law enforcement. Read a book about law enforcement or the police, such as The Police in America, An Introduction. Watch a film about law enforcement, such as Serpico, The French Connection, Dirty Harry, or In the Heat of the Night. Or watch a television show about police officers.
Ozarks Health Center updates name and logo ahead of the 25th anniversary from the Springfield News-Leader. Ahead of its 25th anniversary in 2027, a federally qualified health center that serves the Ozarks has unveiled a new name and a new logo. Jordan Valley Community Health Center will now be Jordan Valley Health. The new name and new logo will be updated across Jordan Valley Health's 10 locations during 2026 and into 2027, when the organization will celebrate its 25th anniversary, according to a press release. While the name is updated and the look is new, the mission remains the same: improving the community's health through access and relationships, said Jordan Valley Health's CEO, Dr. Matthew Stinson, in a press release. Our rebranded identity honors our past and strengthens our promise to serve. We look forward to seeing the new look throughout our service areas and connecting who we are more effectively with the patients we serve. Jordan Valley Health got its start when its first physician, Dr. John Bentley, volunteered at a free clinic and saw how many families were left out of the traditional healthcare system. In response to that need, founding CEO Kay Brooks Miller led the opening of Jordan Valley Health in the Ozarks, which introduced a new model of care based on access, respect, and quality for all. The first clinic opened in a strip mall on East Division Street in 2003 with one provider and 2 exam rooms. Since then, Jordan Valley Health has expanded services and locations to combine healthcare with community support. The name change came from a research process that sought opinions from the employees, patients, and the community. The board challenged the leadership team to consider how we can improve serving one another and our patients, not in just what we do, but how we show up. Our collective consensus is that no matter where we are, our goal stays the same: makes care easier, closer to home, and better for everyone, said Board Chair Trey Peck in a press release. Additionally, the organization is debuting a new logo designed by agency partner Field Trip. It features a mother bear and her cub, a symbol of strength, protection, connection, curiosity, and compassion, along with a new tagline, "We See You," which reflects Jordan Valley Health's commitment to meeting every person with respect, understanding, and care that does not judge. This new logo better captures the commitment to fully provide access to quality health care in the region and establishes that our identity is original, inclusive, and rooted in what patients and team members said quality care should feel like, Stinson said in a press release.
This is from Springfield Daily Citizen. Backyard naturalists, a Midtown Springfield alley reveals a backyard paradise. A Springfield alley isn't quite the filthy palace of sacks and bones described by author Jeanette Winterson, but it can be an unsightly space where unwanted things are hidden from view. Discarded lawnmowers, brush piles, old tires, scraps of building materials, and flotsam of urban living. There is one alley in Midtown Springfield, however, that harbors a pleasant surprise. A portal into an appealing inner space. Someone strolling the alley can peer through a wrought iron gate into a secret garden. To the owners of the garden, of course, it's no secret. Tom and Abby Ellers have spent the last several decades creating this special backyard garden spot, their own little paradise. Several people have looked through the gate and later told them, "Oh, you live in the house where the beautiful garden in the backyard." But unlike a truly secret garden, the Ellers space is happily shared with others. In fact, if you get to know the Ellers, they will readily invite you to partake of their private urban sanctuary. This secret garden brings the Ellers joy even in winter. Dead and dying above the ground, but with living roots, native plants infuse the yard with subtle but lovely hues. Mottled brown, maroon, and purple. On close inspection, dried stems, leaves, and seed pods display intricate geometric structures, spiky, fluffy, or globular in form. The Ellers especially like native grasses, their supple, wispy stems contrasting handsomely with leafy plants and adding welcome movement to the rigid winter landscape. Winter is the time when the decorative elements Tom has added, rock walls, patios, fountains, and statues, are revealed among the receding foliage. Also visible is the living wall, an idea inspired by the Denver Botanic Gardens. A wire fence interwoven with fig branches, bamboo shoots, and seed heads of goldenrod and sunflowers, where birds can roost, find winter seeds, or, come spring, building materials for their nest. For the Ellers, winter is a welcome time of rest. Despite the pleasures of cultivating native landscapes, it's hard work. By the time August rolls around, Abby sighs, "I'm kinda done with it." The Ellers are proud of what they've accomplished in their yard, a labor of love. When naturalists fall in love and find mutual gratification in nature, it's a wonderful thing. It's also a compelling story. Abby and Tom have conspired to create a beautiful landscape and an intriguing story by sharing with each other their interests and expertise. When they joined forces, Tom's abilities in hardscaping with structural features nicely complemented Abby's softscaping talents with native trees, bushes, and wildflowers. Tom's love of nature goes back to early childhood in Liberty, near Kansas City, where he spent many hours in his grandparents' huge garden next door. His parents took him camping and floating on the Current and Buffalo rivers. Later in life, in the landscaping business, he built raised gardens, rock walls, and patios. And in his own business, Stone Effects, he designed and fabricated figurines, fountains, and water gardens, all incorporating his original artwork. Abby grew up in a small town in southwest Missouri with fruit trees and berry brambles in the yard. The house was near springs feeding a Shoal Creek tributary where Abby caught crawdads on a safety pin baited with bacon. She spent her summers swimming and tubing near Powell in the cold, crystal clear waters of Big Sugar Creek. She developed an early love of birds and with her mom once rescued an owlet and tried to raise it, not understanding that it needed a diet of whole mice and lizards. Abby's interest in native plants was cultivated by a friend, a local teacher named Smiley Wallace. In fact, she still grows Jerusalem artichokes and Civil War onions transplanted from Smiley's gardens. Her professional career as a senior instructor at Missouri State University in the Hospitality Leadership Department also grounded her as a naturalist. She experimented with local native foods in her culinary lineup and taught a class on agricultural sustainability. Tom and Abby first met at the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Springfield, but their romance was kindled, as Tom recalls, when Abby agreed to be his float date on the Buffalo River. Canoeing together without mishap, they realized they just might be compatible, and Tom made the right moves. When they were first dating, he presented Abby with a bird bath he had salvaged from a landscaping job. She realized at that moment, he seems to get me. They married in 1993, outdoors, at Ritter Springs Park in the pouring rain. They combined their naturalist talents at a house in Midtown that Abby bought a few years earlier. She had already eradicated much of the coreopsis that had overtaken the yard, planted by the previous owner. The yard and garden were totally made over with vast ecological improvements. They learned a lot about native plants from their neighbor and friend, Louise Wankowski, and from attending a presentation by Doug Tallamy, author of Nature's Best Hope. From these people and others, they learned why native landscaping is such a powerful tool for ecological restoration. Upon improving their yard's biotic potential, they found it to be a magnet for life, birds, bees, butterflies, and myriad other creatures. In stark comparison to the properties around them, where flat, boring, grassy yards were virtually devoid of life, Abby, who once saw gardens primarily as food production sites, eventually realized that I'm not really growing the garden for myself anymore. At last count, Abby and Tom had nearly 100 kinds of native plants growing in their yard. Abby, on her goldenrod alone, counted 43 kinds of insects: bees, flies, beetles, wasps, including a stunningly beautiful specimen, the blue-winged wasp. The Ellers realize how important these insects are for wildlife. If you love birds, Abby suggests, then you have to figure out how to have more insects. She loves butterflies and loves to see caterpillars feeding on the pipevine. But when the wren eggs hatch and the bird parents are feeding their young, she's not sorry to see the caterpillars go. In honoring the circle of life, she knows there will be another crop of caterpillars next year and more wrens singing from the trees. So what's the bottom line? Why go to all this trouble? For Tom and Abby, answers to these questions converge in their life plans. Tom loves to sit on the patio, his relaxing, comfortable retreat turned to the sights and sounds of nature. In their little 1/3 of an acre, he notices there's a lot going on. Wandering among the native plants and bird baths makes a voyage of discovery, taking him back to the curiosity of his childhood, finding something new and of interest around every turn. He admires the plants for doing their jobs, catering to the needs of these birds, bees, and butterflies. For her part, Abby thinks a lot about health, both human and ecological, not surprising perhaps for someone who has taught yoga for 25 years. Working toward a healthy lifestyle motivated her to explore other garden options, such as herbs and medicinal plants, and she extols the virtues of daily exercise in the garden. But she also recognizes the benefit of her landscape to nature. When she goes out into their yard, she says, "It feels healthy," a nod to the success of their ecological mission. So why not go whole hog then? Why not go all in for the natives? Abby answers this carefully, thoughtfully. While she and Tom realize the far-reaching benefits of natives, they are not purists, nor are they apologetic about it. Almost all their new plantings are native, but there is nothing wrong with mixing and matching, she says, and they have no plans to rip out large, healthy, non-native plants just to make room for more natives. Besides, Many non-native plants provide food and cover for wildlife. I asked Tom and Abby what advice they might give someone considering more natives. They recommend native plant purveyors like Missouri Wildflower Nursery, Ozarks Soul, and Watershed Natives, places that provide helpful hints, a little synopsis of what soil or shade conditions plants like, what wildlife they shelter or feed. They also pick up many useful ideas from the Missouri Prairie Foundation's Grow Native program and the Missouri Botanical Garden. And there's nothing wrong with experimenting, Abby said. Many natives can be grown in pots, testing them out for looks and hardiness before adding them to your permanent landscapes. That view from the alley gate provides a peek into Tom and Abby's personal space, but it's also a portal into their inner lives, their personalities, their love of nature. What E.O. Wilson calls biophilia. People who take care of the earth and their personal health are good people to know, good mentors and role models, good people to count among your friends. Any hope for a brighter future on this planet lies largely in more of us adopting the views of the elders, that we all have the power, the knowledge, and the responsibility to accommodate nature in our own personal spaces. For the elders, that accommodation brings great joy and satisfaction. Luckily for us, they happily share those feelings.
From the Springfield Business Journal, Appeals Court ruling revives dormant SPS diversity training lawsuit by Claudette Riley, Education and Workforce Development reporter, posted online January 7th, 2026. A U.S. Court of Appeals ruling has breathed new life into a long-dormant lawsuit over Springfield Public Schools' mandatory diversity training for employees. Filed in August 2021, the original lawsuit from employees Jennifer Lumley and Brooke Henderson alleged the district violated their rights by requiring the training during the 2020-2021 school year. They alleged the district engaged in viewpoint discrimination, prompting employees to self-censor and recite beliefs they did not share. The suit named the district, school board, and several district officials, including Superintendent Granita Latham, who was hired in mid-2021. A federal judge ruled in favor of the district in early 2023, claiming the suit was frivolous. The district was awarded nearly $313,000 in legal expenses. The employees, with support from the Southeastern Legal Foundation, the Alliance Defending Freedom, and others, including former Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, appealed the ruling of U.S. District Judge Douglas Harpool. In a 6-5 split decision, the appeals court judge ruled December 30th, 2025, that after a rehearing, the district court decisions were reversed and the case was remanded back to the lower court for further proceedings. A majority agreed Lumley and Henderson suffered because of the training, reversing an earlier ruling that they lacked standing to file the lawsuit. The lengthy opinion issued by the appeals court stated, in part, the employees experienced a chilling effect on speech after expressing views that did not align with the training. The record contains evidence indicating the plaintiffs stopped voicing their opinions and self-censored when it became apparent that their opposing views were considered unacceptable by the school district and were not only being rejected by the trainers, but met with hostility from the trainers who were employed by the school district, according to the opinion. The dissenting judges argued that the employees suffered no tangible harm, were not asked to leave the training, and received full pay for the time spent. After filing the lawsuit, Lumley and Henderson continued to work for the district, and Lumley was promoted. Stephen Hall, Chief Communications Officer for SPF, said legal fees for the case have grown significantly beyond the $312,869 initially ordered to be reimbursed. He did not have an updated total. This long process is not over, however, as the appeals court has now sent the case back to the district court for a further determination of specific issues, Hall said in a statement. Unfortunately, the case is being driven by an out-of-state special interest group and has been a tremendous burden on taxpayer resources. It would be our wish for the plaintiffs to dismiss their case so that this long and costly process can end. The training has been discontinued. SBJ requested comment from the Alliance Defending Freedom but did not receive a response before printing deadline.
From the Springfield News-Leader, posted yesterday, January 8th. Federal funding uncertainty puts Missouri senior services at risk. At 11:30 a.m. on the first Monday of the new year, the parking lot of Aging Best in Jefferson City is full. A temporary red canvas sign flapping in the breeze to identify the senior center's new location since February. People are trickling in for lunch, served every weekday to Missourians 60 and older for an optional donation. One person asks about the soup of the day, while another donates a stack of Sunday papers. There are coupons for baby formula inside, she explains, in case anyone has family who could use them. Seniors need socialization, said Diane Asher of Holtz Summit, who has been attending the lunches a few times a week since moving from California in June. Most people are busy. Seniors tend to end up alone at home one way or another, even if they have a spouse. Rebecca Nolan, CEO of Aging Best, said the nonprofit, which is Central Missouri's area's agency on aging, was able to keep offering all of its services throughout the 2025 federal government shutdown. But to cope with delayed reimbursements, it instituted a hiring freeze and expanded the wait list for home tour services. Funding delays during the shutdown forced other area agencies on aging to also cut back services or furlough staff, causing lasting harm to the agencies and the older Missourians who rely on them, agency leaders said. Now Missouri's 10 area agencies on aging are facing more uncertainty. Federal funding for the Older Americans Act, currently sustained by the same legislation that ended the shutdown in November, is set to expire on January 30th. These are dollars and funds which for more than 50 years have been stable funding in the community to help seniors with day-to-day needs, so they don't have to go into a nursing home, said Annalise Stover, director of the St. Louis Area Agency on Aging. The federal law enacted in 1965 established a national network of area agencies on aging to connect older Americans with services to help them stay safe and healthy in their homes. In Missouri, those services include free or subsidized home-delivered and community meals, transportation to medical appointments, to buy groceries or visit family, home modifications like grab bars, and relief for family caregivers. All agencies have now been reimbursed for services they offered while Congress was deadlocked, said Lisa Cox, a spokesperson for the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, which administers state and federal funds for the agencies. Cox said in an email to The Independent that the federal government has always come through with funding for the agencies. This has happened in the past, and funding has always continued, Cox said. There has been no cut to the funding to date. But since it takes 4 to 8 weeks for funding to be processed at the federal and state levels after a shutdown, some agencies have only recently been reimbursed for services they provided while Congress was deadlocked. Stover said at the end of December that the agency was just now receiving the dollars that are flowing as a result of the last government shutdown. And as agencies fight to build up their cash reserves to protect against future funding delays, some services have not resumed. Most Thursdays since the end of October, there have been no weekly hot meals at the Cameron Lunch Club Senior Center. Penny Crawford, CEO of Young at Heart Resources, the area agency on aging for Northwest Missouri, said the group meals it hosted in Cameron attracted 60 to 70 people before the shutdown. Now, the Cameron Senior Center only serves lunches when there's a private donation, like when a client donated $1,000 to fund a Thanksgiving lunch, complete with turkey, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and pumpkin pie. She said, "I have to have my Thanksgiving meal here. It's the only way I get Thanksgiving," Crawford said. So she got everyone a Thanksgiving meal, and she got to be with people. Home and community-based services. Stacy Morse, executive director of the Missouri Council on Aging, said that by improving health outcomes among older Missourians, services provided by the agencies have the state money and reduce stress on rural hospitals. Morse added that Stable Older Americans Act funding is crucial in addition to short-term sources of federal investment, like the Rural Health Transformation Program, passed by Congress this summer as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Missouri has been awarded more than $216 million for fiscal year 2026 through the program, one of 5 potential years of funding. With the money, Missouri proposed expanding a pilot project called TOW-RCH, or Transformation of Rural Community Health, that puts 6 rural hospitals in charge of local health initiatives and enable medical and community providers to get Medicaid compensation for a broader range of preventative services. Morse said that in order to take advantage of a future outcome-based Medicaid payment system, Missouri needs reliable support for services that keep people healthy. We need the Older Americans Act money to support home and community-based services in order to make the TOW-RCH program successful, Morse said. Nolan said staff of area agencies on aging, including Aging Best, are experts in connecting clients with services in their community. "I don't think anybody else out there probably has the expertise of some of our people," Nolan said. "If you call us, they know who to talk to." Jennifer Shotwell, CEO of Region X Area Agency on Aging in Joplin, said meal and grocery deliveries are the only way some older Missourians can access nutritious food, especially in rural areas. Shotwell said Cheryl Lee, a client from Barton County, for years depended on meals and groceries from the agency. The agency even delivered food for her cats. Where she lived outside of Lamar, Shotwell said, they don't have delivery. They don't have DoorDash, no Uber. "We did our job," Shotwell said, because she passed away at home where she wanted to be and not in a nursing home. Morse said these services provide a lifeline to older Missourians who use them. "Just think, for one day, what that would be like to not have access to food," Morse said, "to not have access to transportation, to not have anybody to help you, whether it's to open your medicine bottles or take you to the bathroom to get cleaned up." Even without federal disruptions, funding has not kept pace with increased cost and demand as Missourians age, said Julie Peets, executive director of the Missouri Association of Area Agencies on Aging. "I had one agency leader tell me recently, 'I don't have any more rabbits to pull out of my hats,'" Peets said. "I just can't do more. There's no fallback anymore." The total state and federal funding Missouri's agencies received increased only about 15% from fiscal years 2019 to 2024, from $40.8 million to $47.1 million, according to data provided to the Independent by the association, though there were spikes due to complementary funding during the COVID-19 pandemic. Cox, the spokesperson for the state's Health and Senior Services Department, said about 71% of Missouri's funding for the agencies for fiscal year 2026, or $30.1 million, comes from the federal government. The agencies have begun to benefit from the state tax on insurance premiums passed by Missouri lawmakers in 2019 to help fund home and community-based services. But that new funding stream was intended to supplement existing funding sources, not replace federal contributions. Shotwell said that during the shutdown, her agency could only keep offering lunches at its 6 senior centers thanks to private donations and loans from several city governments. I couldn't keep assuming expenses if I had no idea where we were going to be reimbursed, Shotwell said. Shotwell said the agency, which serves Barton, Jasper, Newton, and McDonald counties, has had to place about 40 people on a wait list for home delivery meals. Crawford's agency, which serves 18 northwestern counties, furloughed half of its staff and halved its in-home services. The agency cut its program to help clients navigate Medicaid eligibility recertifications and pause transportation services. Pete said some furloughed staff quit. They're not going to wait around a month or two to see if they'll have a job, Pete said. Between staff losses and services that were cut, Pete said the shutdown did permanent damage to agencies and most of all to the clients. Stover said her agency, one of two in Missouri that are part of a local government, was able to sustain its services throughout the shutdown, partly through support from the city of St. Louis. Most agencies in the state are nonprofits. The agency collaborated with the anti-poverty and disaster relief organization Convoy of Hope to distribute 965 cases of food across 10 senior center food pantries to meet heightened demand due to the pause of monthly food benefits through the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, Stover said. About 22% of Missouri's 1.1 million residents 65 or older receive SNAP benefits, according to the State Departments of Health and Senior Services. As a result of the delays in federal benefits, Stover said, the agency delivered 3,325 emergency meal boxes in November. Agency leaders said they are adjusting their financial planning in anticipation of more frequent funding delays. Stover said that due to funding uncertainty, she had to tell contractors and community partners that while she doesn't anticipate cutting their funding in the coming fiscal year, she can't increase it either. Shotwell said her agency is trying to increase its cash reserves, aiming to have 6 months in the bank rather than 3. Previous to this shutdown, she said, if I had more than 3 months worth of my expenses in the bank, I'm doing a horrible job as a nonprofit. My job is to turn dollars into services to help older Americans live independently and with dignity. But Shotwell said the shutdown, along with inflation and increasing labor costs, as Missouri has increased the minimum wage, have demanded a paradigm shift. Shotwell said she is constantly chasing grant money and fundraising to accumulate carryover funding. But that won't ultimately be enough, she said. We can't keep up the pace we're at without an investment in the Older Americans Act. Moore said it isn't sustainable for Congress to keep funding area agencies on aging through temporary spending measures called continuing resolutions. We need to stop this continuing resolution business and get a budget so that the agencies have some defined numbers and stability, she said. Nolan said that even though reimbursements from the shutdown have come through Aging Best is still being careful with funds. They haven't lifted the hiring freeze yet, and the agency has plans to install a permanent LED sign in front of the new senior center, but it's had to wait. We're all trying to help out wherever we can because we've got to make sure that we have the funds to take care of the people, Nolan said. There's just been a lot of unknowns.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store Reading Service. Come by and see us in person with daily deals at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. Veterans receive a 25% discount every day, providing significant savings as a token of appreciation for their service. Additionally, the store features a weekly clothing sale where all clothing items are available at 50% off every Wednesday. Seniors aged 55 and older benefit from a 25% discount every Tuesday, making shopping more affordable for the senior community. And now a quick note from the weather from OzarsFirst.com. Today's forecast: the rain is gone, but chilly weather this weekend. Springfield officially received 0.52 inches of rain on Thursday. This was the highest rainfall amount since November 29th, shortly after Thanksgiving. There will be no rain today, but temperatures will be slightly chilly in the low 50s this afternoon. Skies will be cloudy to start, but become partly cloudy to mostly sunny throughout the day. Winds will be from the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We'll dip to near freezing tonight, and there's a chance for light rain showers overnight. Snow is unlikely in the Ozarks. A few flurries may mix north of I-44. We'll find a cold and breezy day on Saturday. Temperatures will be in the mid-40s on Saturday, with skies clearing to become mostly sunny for the afternoon. Temperatures tumble behind another cold front going into Sunday. The morning will be cold in the low 20s with upper 30s in the afternoon. We climb temperature ladder again early next week. Highs will make the mid to upper 50s on Monday and Tuesday. A cold front on Tuesday night may bring light rain showers across central Missouri and will be chilly in the 40s again on Wednesday. It's looking like cooler weather may stay for several days, with temperatures in the 40s and 30s Wednesday through next weekend.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, Route 66 and Galois Theater Centennial celebrations to feature live music and film. The historic Galois Theater and Route 66 are inextricably linked. They're separated by just a few feet of downtown Springfield sidewalk, and both will celebrate centennials in 2026. They'll be celebrating together with a series of free events. Jeff Steele, Executive Director of the Galois Center for Arts and Entertainment, laid out plans for those events as his vision for creating an entertainment district across downtown in a presentation at the North Springfield Betterment Association monthly luncheon on January 8th. The event was held inside the Fountain Plaza room at Cox North. It's awesome anytime an organization can live to 100, but it's amazing when an organization can live to be 100 and say the best days are genuinely ahead, Steele told the crowd. And I really, truly believe that. Steele also broke some news during his presentation, confirming that the Galois will help with programming at the Holler, a new music venue in the works at Olive and Market in downtown Springfield. The Route 66 Centennial Kickoff is set for April 30th in Springfield, and the Galois is partnering with the Missouri Route 66 Centennial Commission to stage 3 free Friday night events during the summer. The first is May the 8th, when the Peacherine Ragtime Society Orchestra provides live music for silent films. The orchestra, based in Pennsylvania, has made several appearances at the Galois. You'll be able to experience exactly what was experienced in 1926, Steele said. They play the original scores from the original movies on period-appropriate instruments. It's really going to be fun. After a special Mother Road edition of the Mystery Hour on June the 12th, Pet Sounds Live is set for July 10th. The Beach Boys tribute band will play the entire Pet Sounds album, considered one of the most influential rock records of all time, along with other hits by the legendary Beach Boys. The performance will be backed by a multimedia presentation. Brian Wilson passed away about a year ago, but he had actually already seen this, endorsed it, and provided materials, Steele said. So there's multimedia that has never been seen before. We're excited about it. Details are still being finalized on how tickets will be distributed, but it will likely be on a first-come, first-served basis. The Missouri Route 66 Centennial Commission wants the series to be highly attended, so the Galois will be aggressively marketing the events more than 75 miles outside of Springfield. Outside of working on centennial events, the Galois is also stretching outside of its walls on Park Central East. In the last year, Steele and his team have partnered with the History Museum on the Square to program events at the historic Fox Theater and the Springfield Cardinals for a series of concerts and Hammond Field. The Galois has already helped produce 2 events at the Fox a 10-show run of Hairspray by Mosaic Arts Collective, and the annual Ozark Jubilee Live. Guests at the later show enjoyed a newly renovated lobby at the Fox. Steele said that was just phase one of improvements to the 110-year-old facility. The carpet was changed for the first time since 1949. Literally, Steele said. The walls were repainted, and then there's these great murals you're going to see towards the theater's entrance. They've been covered for decades, and they've reopened them for the first time. They're behind museum glass, and they are absolutely beautiful. The Gloys agreement with the Cardinals is for multiple years, starting with 3 concerts in 2026. The first concert at Hammond Fields will likely take place in late April or early May, with 2 more scheduled for the fall, perhaps in late September and early October. Details on those shows are scant for now. I'm not talking about who the performers are yet, but if you do the math, the Fox holds 610 people, the Gloys holds 1,015 people, and Hammond Fields holds 8,000. So they're going to be a bigger name than we normally work with, Steele said. But the Gloys is not done expanding. Steele confirmed that he called Springfield's worst kept secret a new 2,000 capacity venue inside the former Fallen Garage near the intersection of Market and Olive. According to previous Daily Citizen reporting, the venue will be called The Holler. The Gloys team will help program that space too. It's going to be very, very different from anything that we've got in Springfield currently, and bringing different acts, Steele said. Those spaces, along with the Shrine Mosque, the historic Landers Theater, Juanita K. Hammond's Hall for the Performing Arts, and Great Southern Bank Arena, provide Springfield with multiple stages for events. Steele's vision is for the venues to work together to create an entertainment destination on par with cities like Austin, Texas, Des Moines, Iowa, Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Pittsburgh. The idea might not be far-fetched. In the last year, events at the Gloys have attracted guests from 48 states and 6 foreign countries. And they don't just come and go, Steele said. They spend the night. They shop, they eat, and they pay for parking. Steele also has confidence in Springfield's potential as an entertainment destination based on his personal experience booking the Gloys. I've been here since October the 1st, 2014, and the first year I went to the Entertainment Buyers Association, no agent would meet with me. No one, Steele said. They went, Springfield, Missouri? Now they call us. It's been a very slow turn, but it's happened because the people show up and create memories.
From the Springfield News-Leader, man arrested camping in a Nixa parking lot was guilty of trafficking fentanyl. A man convicted of fentanyl trafficking and illegally possessing firearms was apprehended while he was camping in his minivan in a Nixa Walmart parking lot, federal authorities said. A federal trial jury found Jason Thompson of Denver guilty Wednesday, January 7th, of possessing fentanyl with the intent to distribute, possessing firearms in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, and being a felon in possession of a firearms, according to a U.S. Attorney's Office Western District of Missouri news release. Nixa Police Department contacted Thompson in the early hours of August 30th, 2024, for camping in a minivan in the parking lot of Nixa Walmart. The man initially provided officers with a fake name and date of birth and then attempted to flee on foot when officers tried to arrest him. He was quickly apprehended. Once Thompson provided his actual identifying information, officers discovered he had a federal probation and parole warrant for his arrest. During a search, officers found a small bag of cocaine and more than $1,000 on Thompson's person, according to the release. 2 loaded firearms, drug paraphernalia, and a large plastic bag containing nearly 140 grams of fentanyl pills were also discovered in the minivan. Thompson's criminal history includes prior felony convictions of methamphetamine trafficking, theft and possession of a firearm as a felon. According to the press release, The jury deliberated for 2 hours before returning the guilty verdicts, ending a trial that began Monday, January the 5th. The 50-year-old man could face a sentence of 15 years to life in prison without parole. However, the final sentencing will be determined at a future hearing. From
the Springfield News-Leader, Ozarks Health Center updates name, logo ahead of its 25th anniversary. Ahead of its 25th anniversary in 2027, a federally qualified health center that serves the Ozarks has unveiled a new name and new logo. Jordan Valley Community Health Center will now be Jordan Valley Health. The new name and new logo will be updated across Jordan Valley Health's 10 locations during 2026 and into 2027, when the organization will celebrate its 25th anniversary, according to a press release. While the name is updated and the look is new, the mission remains the same: improving the community's health through access and relationships, said Jordan Valley Health's CEO, Dr. Matthew Stinson, in a press release. Our rebranded identity honors our past and strengthens our promise to serve. We look forward to seeing the new look throughout our service area and connecting who we are more effectively with the patients we serve. Jordan Valley Health got its start when its first physician, Dr. John Bentley, volunteered at a free clinic and saw how many families were left out of the traditional healthcare system. In response to that need, founding CEO Kay Brooks Miller led the opening of Jordan Valley Health in the Ozarks, which introduced a new model of care based on access, respect, and quality for all. The first clinic opened in a strip mall on East Division Street in 2003 with one provider and 2 exam rooms. Since then, Jordan Valley Health has expanded services and locations to combine health care with community support. The name change came from a research process that sought opinions from employees, patients, and community. The board challenged the leadership team to consider how we can improve serving one another and our patients, not just in what we do, but how we show up. Our collective consensus is that no matter what or where we are, our goal stays the same: make care easier, closer to home, and better for everyone, said Board Chair Terry Peck in a press release. Additionally, the organization is debuting a new logo designed by agency partner Field Trip. It features a mother bear and her cub, a symbol of strength, protection, connection, curiosity, and compassion, along with a new tagline, "We see you," which reflects Jordan Valley's health commitment to meeting every person with respect, understanding, and care that doesn't judge. This new logo better captures the commitment to fully provide access to quality health care in the region and establishes that our identity is original, inclusive, and rooted in what patients and team members said quality care should feel like, Stinson said in the press release.
Springfield Business Journal report. Denny Hoskins isn't verifying 1/3 of the signatures for vote on Missouri's gerrymandered map. Rudy Keller of the Missouri Independent posted January the 8th. Signatures on only 2/3 of the petition pages submitted to force a statewide vote on Missouri's gerrymandered congressional map will go through the verification process. New filings in a Cole County court case show. Secretary of State Denny Hoskins delivered 33,068 pages to local election authorities out of 49,773 pages with signatures collected by a political action committee called People Not Politicians. The PAC began circulating petitions after lawmakers passed the new map on September the 12th. Those pages will be checked to determine which signatures are from registered voters. Hoskins held back the rest because he does not believe signatures collected before October 14th, the day he approved the form on the petition, are valid. Any pages with at least one signature dated October 14th or later were sent to local election authorities, an exhibit included in the court filing state. The filing is part of the case pending before the Cole County Circuit Judge Christopher Limbaugh over which signatures must be counted. On December the 12th, Limbaugh declared he would not issue a ruling until the verification process shows whether the referendum petition can succeed without signatures collected before October 14th. People Not Politicians needs approximately 110,000 signatures spread among 6 of the state's 8 congressional districts to put redistricting plan on a statewide vote. The 49,773 pages have 305,968 signatures overall, but the filings do not show how many signatures on the page are being checked. In other court filings, People Not Politicians has stated that about 103,000 of the signatures were collected before the cutoff date. The raw signature counts, including the names on the pages not sent for verification, show enough signatures were collected in the city of St. Louis to qualify the 1st District and enough in Greene County to qualify the 7th District. The data did not show the breakdown in split counties. There were 71,008 signatures submitted from St. Louis County, which is split between the 1st and 2nd districts. There were 59,823 signatures collected in Jackson County, which includes the 4th, 5th, and 6th district, and 30,110 signatures collected in Boone County, which is split between the 3rd and 4th districts. The 2 districts where the petition is unlikely to have enough signatures are the 6th Congressional District in North Missouri and the 8th Congressional District in Southeast Missouri. The gerrymandered map was forced through by Republicans who succumbed to pressure from President Donald Trump and revised the 8 districts during a September special session. The intended result from the new map is to flip the 5th district to the GOP. The district, based in Kansas City, has been represented by Democratic U.S. Representative Emanuel Cleaver since 2005. The district is carved up under the new map with portions attached to the 4th and 6th district. Heavily Republican areas stretching along the Missouri River to Boone County would be added to the remaining Kansas City portions. If the referendum has sufficient signatures, the map would be on the November ballot unless lawmakers set an earlier date. This story was produced by the Missouri Independent and is republished by SBJ with permission.
From the Springfield News-Leader, Missouri City among HGTV's most charming small towns in the country. An iconic Missouri city has been named one of the most charming small towns in America by HGTV. The Lifestyle Television Network compiled its list by considering each state's hidden gems that offer quaint shops, fascinating history, and natural beauty. There's something special about small towns, whether it's the simplicity, the character of the people. They are a quintessential part of American life, HGTV said. Here's what HGTV chose as the Missouri's best small town. Hannibal. The network crowned Hannibal as the most charming small town in the state, with a population of roughly 17,000 people. The city is best known as the boyhood home of author Mark Twain. Here's what HGTV had to say. Hannibal, Missouri celebrated its 200th anniversary in 2019. Author Samuel Clemens, better known for his pen name Mark Twain, lived in this Mississippi River town as a boy. In his honor, it offers a variety of shops, museums, riverboat rides, and other experiences, many based on his characters. A week-long Tom Sawyer Days festival is held each year. A new Big River Steampunk Festival has been drawing visitors too, many of whom dress in Victorian-era costumes. And there's a few things that you can do. You can visit the Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum, the Mark Twain Cave Complex, the Mark Twain Riverboat Cruise, go to Lover's Leap, or see the historic downtown in Hannibal.
From the sports page, Springfield News-Leader, Drury's Keshawn Thompson named GLVC Men's Basketball Player of the Week. Keshawn Thomas has been named the Athletic Solutions Great Lakes Valley Conference Men's Basketball Player of the Week for December 29th to January 4th in recognition of a pair of dominant outings by the Drury freshmen the previous week. Thomas delivered a pair of 20-point performances in the Panthers' GLVC contest against Rockhurst and William Jewell, finishing the week with team-leading averages of 24.5 points and 7 rebounds. The Quincy, Illinois product tallied a career-high 29 points on 9 of 11 shooting from the floor and 9 of 9 at the foul line in DU's 104-98 win over Rockhurst on Friday. He followed that up with another 20-point effort, his 5th in just 13 career games with the Panthers in the Sunday, January 4th contest against William Jewell. For the week, Thomas shot just under 70% from the floor, connecting on 16 of 23 field goal attempts, as well as 15 of 19 free throw tries. Through the first half of the season, he is averaging 16.4 points and 6.2 rebounds per contest, both of which rank second on the squad. Thomas leads the team at the charity stripe, having connected on 81.6% of his attempts for the season. Drury continues its 6-game homestand Thursday evening, January 8th, with a 7:45 GLVC contest against number 16 Missouri S&T at the O'Reilly Family Event Center.
From the Springfield News-Leader, unresolved 2007 Springfield homicide is subject to a new true crime book. After well-known Springfield attorney and avid book collector Roland Comstock was shot and killed July the 2nd of 2007 inside his home, no one was ever arrested or criminally prosecuted for his death. Although, in a jury of a wrongful death lawsuit later determined that his ex-wife likely killed him. Now, almost 2 decades later, Comstock's former colleague and friend is releasing a true crime book recounting the life and death of the late attorney and everything that unfolded through investigations. James Owen currently runs a renewable energy nonprofit in Columbia, but the Marshfield native previously worked as a lawyer in Springfield. On January 20th, James Owen debuted his book, The Wicked Among Us, which seeks to keep Comstock's story alive. Comstock, a tax and probate lawyer, was a well-known bibliophile who had collected roughly 50,000 books, primarily first edition British and American literature, that he housed in a specially constructed 2-story library addition at his home, just north of Springfield, near McDaniel Lake. On July the 3rd, 2007, the 70-year-old was found dead inside his home with 4 gunshot wounds. No suspects were ever arrested, but in 2008, Comstock's adopted daughter filed a wrongful death lawsuit against his ex-wife, her mother, for allegedly killing Comstock. In 2011, a jury found that was likely the case and awarded Comstock's survivors $125,000 and attorney's fees though the monetary award was later voided by the judge. Roland and Alberta Comstock were married for 38 years until their divorce in 2005, after Alberta Comstock discovered Roland Comstock was gay. The case was riddled with inconsistencies, and attorneys in the civil case criticized how local law enforcement had handled the investigation, according to the News-Leader archival reports. During the trial, attorneys representing the daughter, Faith Stalker, pointed to a black attaché case belonging to Alberta Comstock that was found in the home, an unaccounted for .38 caliber gun, and Alberta Comstock's evasion during questioning as proof of the woman's involvement in the slaying. According to an online obituary, Alberta Comstock died in 2013 at the age of 73. Owen worked for Comstock's law firm for about 14 months. He and Becky Frakes, a paralegal and close friend of Comstock, went to work for another firm that represented Comstock's daughter in the civil case. giving Owen a close view of the controversy. Throughout the years, as he shared the story of Comstock's career, character, and death, he was often met with the same response: "That would be a good book." Writing has always been near and dear to Owen's heart. He has written film reviews and blogged as a way to keep writing an active and public hobby. But he never saw writing a book as a life ambition or goal, he said. But when you come across a person that you believe deserves to be written about, deserves to have their story told, it's kind of hard to turn down, Owen said. In late 2012, Owen decided to collect the anecdotes he would share into something larger. From 2013 to 2021, he gathered documents, conducted research into Comstock's life, and slowly began to put pen to paper. He was granted access by Comstock's estate to the late attorney's personal records, letters, scrapbooks, and more. Owen said that life didn't stop for the creation of the book. He still had his career, moved, and became a judge, father, and husband. So the process took a longer time to come to fruition than just sitting down and writing. Throughout the years, he would have to make calls to court clerks and academic libraries to get his hands on documents that touched Comstock's life in new ways, including the slain attorney's master thesis. Once all the research was complete, Owen said the writing came fairly easily. He said it was important for him to keep the tragedy of Comstock's death in the public consciousness. For me, there was a personal desire that Comstock's family and friends see that there is some sort of kind of justice that goes with Roland's memory remaining in the forefront, Owen said. From the perspective of being a lawyer, having worked in these law firms, one of the things I hope I can convey with this book is just some of the challenges of the law, the challenges of being a lawyer, the challenges of getting sucked into other people's conflicts, and high stakes of some of those. The book covers much more than just the ins and outs of the homicide investigation, lack of criminal resolution, and the civil lawsuit that followed. Owen said he wanted to ensure Comstock was fully portrayed as the eccentric character that he was, and throughout the entirety of his life, from all angles, the good, the bad, and the complicated. Comstock was a personality, to say the least. His 12.5-acre property was home to hybrid wolves kept as pets, and he once represented an English bulldog named Butch in the 1980s, who was left with a $98,500 inheritance according to the News-Leader archives. I hope that Roland is a character and his stubbornness sticks with readers as someone who is larger than life, who almost could be a literary creation if he had not really lived, Owen said. The book's chapters jump between Comstock's lives and the events that follow his death. The book begins with the discovery of the crime scene and is swiftly followed by a chapter on the man's birth, flipping back and forth between the two time frames until the two narratives converge at the civil trial. I just think that by talking about him, kind of in that alternating narratives, brings his perspective as a victim forward, which I think a lot of true crime books don't do, Owen said. I think they focus too much on the murder, and I really hope this one focuses more on Roland as a person. You hear all these like salacious murder, true crime docudramas, and that sort of thing. But I really hope people do remember that there are people and lives that are attached to all of that. With Springfield as the backdrop to the story, the author said he is also hopeful that the book illuminates more of Southwest Missouri, including the positive as well as the darker aspects. While The Wicked Among Us will officially release January 20th, it is available for pre-order on Amazon and other retailers. Owen is planning book signings in Springfield after the release, with one already confirmed for January 31st at ABC Books at 2109 North Glenstone Avenue, Suite J. The upcoming book will not be the last for Owen. He said he is already working on a fictional mystery book and hopes to complete the release that soon. Set in a fictional town in southern Missouri, the novel follows the story of a public guardian trying to unravel a mystery after skeletal remains are found in someone's house. In the more distant future, Owen said he hopes to work on a book about Missouri's former governor, Eric Greitens.
From 417 Magazine, we review the Himalayan Bar and Grill. The Himalayan Bar and Grill is bringing the flavors of Nepal's high altitudes down to the Ozarks by Teresa Cooper. Republic is a rapidly growing town, and its local food scene is keeping pace. The new food and beverage concepts popping up here are so unique that they are drawing visitors from all over southwest Missouri, and the Himalayan Grill and Bar is no exception. Here you'll find a blend of authentic Nepalese, Indo-Chinese, and Indian cuisine prepared by Chef Bishnu Chaudhary, who owns and runs the restaurant alongside Gautam Buddha Maharajan and Prem Shrestha. Together, these Nepal natives are bringing the flavors of their home country to our little corner of the Ozarks. I've had Indo-Chinese and Indian cuisine before, so I really wanted to find something that represented more of the Nepalese flavors. The menu made this super easy feat, as the first two sections are labeled Most Iconic Nepali Appetizers and Most Iconic Nepali Cuisine. I kicked off my meal with the chatpate, which is popular street food in Nepal. Think of this as a spicy snack mix with a medley of chopped noodles, puffed rice, and peas, all dried. It was crunchy, tangy, and spicy, and my mouth is watering right now just thinking of it. My palate was awake and ready for my second course, the Newari Kaji set. This meal offers a sampling of multiple native-style foods served together on a triangular platter. The Himalayas' take on this dish featured bara, which is a savory pancake made with lentils that they topped with a fried egg. It, along with chiura, which is beaten rice, offered a nice respite amid the spicier components like the potatoes. The chicken choila was my favorite addition, as it was very garlic forward. I nearly double the garlic in any recipe. Before I ordered, my server asked me what spice level I wanted, and I went with medium. I found it was the perfect level to offer a fiery kick while still letting the other flavors come through. However, I was glad I ordered a glass of the Sweet Lassie to go with my meal, which is a soothing, salted yogurt drink with just a slight hint of rosewater. I would suggest ordering the mango version if you want one that offers a stronger, brighter flavor. On my next visit, I really want to try the momo, which are Nepal's take on steamed dumplings. The sea momo style is their best seller, and it is steamed and tossed in a sweet and spicy chili sauce. One order includes 10, so I will be bringing a friend to help split. And on a related note, portion sizes here are very generous, so I had enough leftovers for lunch the next day. My husband Chandler is normally my date for these reviews, but on this occasion, my 10-month-old daughter Florence was along for the ride. As far as her favorites, she couldn't get enough of the naan or the bara. I left the experience feeling so grateful. Even if I never make it to Nepal with my daughter, I think it's so wonderful to live in a region where we can enjoy global flavors like this together on an ordinary evening.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, developer explores purchase of controversial University Heights property. Springfield-based Valiant Group is exploring the purchase of Be Kind and Merciful LLC's 8 properties in the University Heights neighborhood. Valiant's CEO, Josh Manning, will meet with the Neighborhood Association January the 13th to discuss the possible purchase with neighborhood stakeholders. It's the latest development in the ongoing saga of the properties at the northwest corner of National Avenue and Sunshine Street in what has proven to be a controversial development project in a historic neighborhood. Manning said his company has been exploring the purchase for about 2 months after BK&M principal Ralph Duda reached out to Manning as a potential purchaser of the properties. Manning met with Duda multiple times to discuss the purchase. I met with Ralph 3 or 4 times, Manning said by phone January 9th. We've had some pretty heavy discussions about, how to potentially do this project. At the Neighborhood Association meeting set for January 13th, Manning said, "I'm just going to have a kind of preliminary discussion and see if there is a way that I can come in as a developer and basically work with them to come up with a development that is a win-win for the community, for University Heights, for us as a developer." Valiant has not signed a purchase contract and at this time is only exploring the purchase as a possibility, Manning said. Valiant does not have the purchase under contract and the company has not made any financial commitments as of January 9th. In mid-December 2025, BK&M withdrew a rezoning application in front of Springfield's Planning and Zoning Commission, stating the company did not believe it had enough yes votes needed from City Council. BK&M was requesting to rezone the 2.6 acre site with a conditional overlay district aiming to add hotels as an allowable use. In addition to hotels, the conditional overlay district would have allowed general and medical offices, nursing and retirement homes, parks and community gardens, short-term rentals, residential use above the first floor and behind non-residential uses. BK&M initially pursued general retail zoning with the intention of developing the site, but due to recently indicated plans to sell the property. While Valiant plans for the properties are still being developed, Manning said his company does not intend to develop the property into anything other than exclusively housing. There's a lot of people that are really angry at each other over this thing, Manning said. My basic approach with them, right, is that I want to bring in housing. That's what the city needs. It's a good corner for it. I'm not really interested in mixed use. I'm not really interested in hotel, and so I want to bring housing into the corner. In the midst of the controversy that has surrounded the development of the properties in one of Springfield's historic neighborhoods, Manning said his goal is to focus on compromise. It's going to have to be a compromise, Manning said. The neighborhood is going to have to compromise. I'm going to have to compromise. But I'm probably willing to be a lot more flexible than any other developer that has come in there to try to work on that corner yet. It's something that is very important to our city, and it's something that I would want to try to take on. Duda did not immediately respond to a phone message seeking comment for this report.
From the Springfield News-Leader, see how average Midwest gas prices changed since last week. Regional gas prices slightly declined last week and reached an average of $2.58 per gallon of regular fuel on Monday, down from last week's price of $2.61 per gallon, according to U.S. Energy Information Administration. The average fuel price in the Midwest region declined about 14 cents since last month. According to the EIA, gas prices across the region in the last year have been as low as $2.58 on January 5th and as high as $3.10 on April 7th, 2025. A year ago, the average gas price in the Midwest region was 12% higher at $2.94 a gallon. The average gas price in the United States last week was $2.80, making prices in the Midwest region about 7.5% lower than the nation's average. The average national gas price is slightly lower than last week's average of $2.81 per gallon. The U.S. Energy Information Administration's tally of prices in the Midwest states include Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Wisconsin.
From the entertainment section of the Springfield News-Leader, Master Gardener answers how to keep houseplants healthy in winter. What adjustments do I need to make in caring for my houseplants during the winter months? The winter months bring special challenges to keeping houseplants healthy due to shorter days with less sunlight and lower humidity inside during heating season. Plants that have been outside for the summer will react even more to these challenges when brought into the house. The first thing to do is reduce the water a bit since the plants will be taking in less water inside the house. stop fertilizing, and increase the humidity. Humidity can be increased using pebble trays and/or humidifiers. More light can be provided by moving plants closer to sunny windows, making sure the leaves do not touch the cold window glass and away from drafts and heaters. In some cases, grow lights may be used in areas without sufficient sunlight. The plants should also be rotated a quarter turn on a regular basis to keep light distribution even. Keeping the leaves dust-free will also increase the amount of light that will reach the leaves. It is also important to check all houseplants frequently for any pests and treat immediately to prevent infestation. Lastly, plants should not be repotted until spring. What plants are good for a low-maintenance shade garden? There are many lovely plants that thrive in varying degrees of shade and require little to no maintenance. The first step is to access the types of shade you will have to determine which plants will work best in the area, how the spot looks during different parts of the day, and during the changing season. Whether you have morning shade, afternoon shade, or heavy shade will determine which plants will be most suitable. Ground covers work nicely in shaded areas to help fill in gaps between plants and provide a fuller look. Some ground covers that work well in either partial or heavy shade include wild ginger, yellow archangel, or lily tuft. Some perennials that work well in partial shade are astable, bloodroot, columbine, and Siberian iris, while plants for heavy shade will include variegated Solomon seal, lady fern, Linton rose, and hostas. For areas that receive morning shade but also receive afternoon sun, plants like full to partial sun will also work. Why do I need to rotate crops in my vegetable garden? There are many good reasons to rotate crops in your vegetable garden, one important one being soil nutrition. Certain plants replenish nutrients in the soil, for example, legumes, which fix nitrogen in the soil, and thus will provide benefits to a new crop that is a heavy nitrogen feeder, such as corn, and will help the new crop grow better. Planting a heavy feeder in the same spot will previously grew a heavy feeder will further deplete the soil, leading to poor performance of the second crop. Rotating crops will also help reduce disease and pest problems, as certain families of plants have common diseases and pest problems.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, posted 46 minutes ago, breaking news: Springfield City Council poised to consider a revised hotel tax measure for the April ballot. Previous hotel tax measure failed in November. City officials say they've learned from surveys and listening sessions. Editor's note: free access to election coverage is made possible by the Merrill Lynch Nelson Hallam Group. It appears likely that Springfield voters will consider another hotel tax increase on the April 7th ballot, with the Springfield City Council indicating support for the revised ballot measure at a special meeting Friday, January 9th. Springfield voters narrowly rejected a 3% hotel tax increase in the November 2025 election. Had it passed, the tax measure would have funded the construction of a $175 million convention center and event center in downtown Springfield. Unlike the previous tax measure, which was proposed in perpetuity, the revised proposal includes a 35-year sunset provision. The proposed ballot language is otherwise largely the same, with the increase still being proposed at 3%. However, this time around, the city is providing a specific location for the project: the Springfield Expo Center at 635 East St. Louis Street and the adjacent vacant parcel, which are both owned by the city, though the Expo Center is managed by Atrium Hospitality. Following the November vote, the city conducted a resident feedback survey and engaged the public in a series of listening sessions in an effort to better understand community priorities. While the survey results showed strong opposition to the project among a sizable share of respondents, many also indicated support for a revised proposal if details improve. The full set of results can be found on the Springfield Daily Citizen website. One of the key takeaways from the listening sessions, City Manager David Cameron said, was that people were concerned that the city was more focused on the convention center project than on other issues, from transportation to homelessness to noise and crime. It's not one-dimensional what we need to be working on, Cameron said at the January 9th meeting. I think citizens are saying, is this the only focus for the city? There has to be more if you're going to build this. Is it safer to go downtown? Is it clean coming into downtown? I say yes. These are things that we're working on. If approved for the April ballot and subsequently approved by voters, the tax measure would increase Springfield's hotel tax from 5% to 8%, and overall tax rate on sleeping accommodations, including the base sales tax rate, from 13.1% to 16.1%, not including any additional taxes in special taxing districts. The hotel tax is paid by overnight visitors in hotels and short-term rentals. In addition to the tax increase, the City Council has allocated $30 million in Spring Forward SGF sales tax revenues for the project, intended to provide the local match required of a state budget earmark of the same amount. While the state funding remains restricted, subject to release at the governor's discretion, Cameron expressed confidence that it would be released if voters approve the tax increase. Though not explicitly outlined in the ballot language, the city is also proposing to cap the cost of construction at $175 million, with the total project cost, including potential property acquisition, estimated at around $205 million. With $60 million between Spring Forward SGF tax revenues and state funding, the remaining $145 million could be covered through debt, which would be paid off from the 3% hotel tax increase over 30 years. The $175 million figure is in line with the estimated cost of the project recommended in a market demand and feasibility study recently conducted by Hunden Partners, a Chicago-based consulting firm specializing in destination real estate and tourism. While it remains undecided when the City Council will vote on the tax measure, City Attorney Jordan Paul said they typically try to avoid waiting until the day before the final certification date for the ballot, which, for the April 7th election, is January 27th. As such, it appears likely that the City Council will take up the measure at its January 12th meeting or at a subsequent special meeting. This is a developing story that will be updated. Jack McGee is the government affairs reporter at the Springfield Daily Citizen. He previously covered politics and business for the Daily Citizen. He is an MSU graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree in journalism and a minor in political science. You can reach him at jmcgee@sgfcitizen.org or at 417-837-3663.
From the lifestyle section of the 417 magazine, inside Ozarks Huckabella Boutique. At Huckabella Boutique in Ozark, owner Sarah Huck turns faith, community, and small business collaboration into a one-of-a-kind local love story. What started as a small boutique in 2016 has grown into a beloved shopping destination in 417 land. And last August, owner Sarah Huck bought the building too. Huck says the process couldn't have gone any smoother when the opportunity arose to purchase the property that houses Huckabella Boutique. My landlord wanted us to have the building, she says. He was patient with us every step of the way and helped us as best he could. Owning the space hasn't dramatically changed the day-to-day yet. Huck jokes that even after closing, nothing really changed. We didn't even have to exchange keys. Still, she plans to make gradual updates and possibly remodel in the future. The real difference, she shares, is the sense of stability and ownership that comes with knowing Huckabella has a permanent home. When I opened Huckabella, my 5-year plan was to keep growing as long as the Lord allowed. I didn't necessarily have a goal, but getting to hire employees so I could be a full-time stay-at-home mom is something I am beyond thankful for. The acquisition gave Huck room to grow in other ways. Huckabella has long been known for its mix of styles and vendors. what the boutique calls all the styles we love for you. Recently, she expanded that lineup even further. Events like the Spring Open House, Back to School Bash, Fall and Christmas Open Houses have become annual tradition. We started adding pop-up vendors outside during these events, and we don't charge anything for them to be there, Huck says. We just want to give these small businesses an opportunity to get their name out there and our community more opportunity to shop local. Shoppers even earn Huck Bucks, which function like store credit with those pop-ups when they spend a certain amount in-store during events. This small incentive reinforces Huck's goal of community connection over competition. We love being able to support local charities and events when we can, she states. We also love carrying things we know our community loves, like Ozarks specific gear, Chiefs gear, and Christian or faith-based items. Faith is woven through everything at Huckabella, from the merchandise to the mindset. Our Christian and faith-based products represent what we're all about, Huck says. We're a Christian-owned business, and we love the freedom we have to let His light shine in our community as best we can. That humility that runs so deep comes with lighthearted sense of humor. Now when the roof leaks, the toilet stops working, or the air conditioner or heat goes out, it's all our problem now, Huck laughs. But as you may expect, even that's said with gratitude. Huck sees the building purchase as a reminder to stay grounded. In the past, we toyed around with a second location, but now that we have the building, we are content with what God has provided for us, she says. We just want to continue to be good stewards and run this business as long as He wills. As for the shop's name, Huckabella, my former partner, who I started the business with in 2016, came up with it on the spot, and I loved how unique it was, Huck shares. Nearly a decade later, that spontaneous name now graces a thriving boutique and community hub, a testament to faith, hard work, and small town support that keeps multiplying. These things we can confidently say the Ozarks are darn good at.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, what to know about the 41st Annual Bass Pro Tournament of Champions, a note from the sports department. A look at the 2026 bracket and top players ahead of the January 15th to 17th event at Great Southern Bank Arena. An assembly of the nation's top high school boys basketball programs and players will once again descend upon Great Southern Bank Arena for the 41st Annual Bass Pro Tournament of Champions. Widely considered the most competitive and talent-stocked tournament in the country, this year's field includes 5 teams ranked in the top 10 of Max Prep's most recent national rankings. Number 1, Paul VI from Virginia. Number 2, Principia in St. Louis. Number 5, Calvary Christian from Florida. Number 6, Bartlett, Tennessee. And number 8, Wheeler, Georgia. Springfield area powers Kickapoo 8-2 and Logan Rogersville 9-0 will be the 2 local representatives at the TOC, an event that has showcased more than 60 future NBA players and 370 Division I signees since its inception. 12 players in the 2026 field are ranked in the top 200 of their respective classes by popular recruiting site 24/7 Sports. This will be the rare year one of them is from the Ozarks. On Thursday night, January 15th at 6 p.m., Logan Rogersville Junior guard Chase Branham, an Indiana commit ranked number 33 in the class of 2027, will face number 2 overall player in the class of 2026 in Paul VI's 6'2" guard and 5-star recruit Jordan Smith. In the following 7:30 p.m. game, Principia, the Missouri Class 3 private school power, will lock up with tradition-rich and state-ranked Class 6 Kickapoo in a rare all-Missouri first-round TOC tilt. All tournament games will be streamed at springfieldsports.net. How the bracket lines up in the 2026 TOC. Quarterfinals, Thursday, January 15th, will be Wheeler from Georgia versus Bartlett, Tennessee at 4:30. Paul VI from Virginia versus Logan Rogersville at 6 p.m. Principia from St. Louis and Kickapoo at 7:30. St. John Bosco from California, and Calvary Christian from Florida at 9 p.m. Then the three-point contest is also back, of course. The crowd-pleasing dunk contest is back, and among this year's judges will be Missouri State Athletic Director Patrick Ransdell. Also, after its debut year in 2025, the three-point contest makes its return. The first round will take place after Game 2 on Thursday night. The semifinals will be on Friday after Game 2, and the final round will be Saturday at 5:45 p.m. before the 6 p.m. dunk contest. Ticket prices are $50 for a 3-day reserved, or $16 for a single day reserved for January 15th, $17 for the 16th and the 17th, and $13 for single day adult general admission.
Back to 417 Lifestyle. Doing good with Donna Petrie and Least of These. Having volunteered with Least of These for more than 26 years, Donna Petrie strives to support the food pantry's mission for providing for those in need. Donna Petrie grew up watching her mother look for ways to give back to the community. Opening her home for foster care and volunteering, she instilled these same ideals in her children. My mom was a good mom, she says. She's taught all of us it's not about us, it's about helping others, and that's my heart. I just grew up seeing so much joy in giving to others. This passion, combined with her personal experience of being on the opposite side, drove Petrie to start volunteering at Least of These 26 years ago. Least of These is the only fully service food pantry in Christian County. I've been there, she says. My dad left my mom with 5 kids when I was 16, and there were times when we had great need. What we do at Least of These, we don't just give them food. We make relationships with them, and then we are able to give them other resources. These other resources go beyond filling cupboards. When they come for food, we can help them find a way to look for a job, get help with their rent and utilities, Petrie said. We have resources we can share with them, but it starts with filling their tummies. When you can't eat, you can't think. In her 26 years at Least of These, Petrie has done a wide variety of jobs, from stocking shelves and cleaning to gathering food for clients. Currently, she helps by answering phone calls from clients to change appointments, help them with their application process, and direct them to other resources. But her favorite aspect has been helping people over the phone on their tough days. It's not a job, it's a joy, she says. I talked with a gentleman a few weeks ago that was having it rough and feeling embarrassed that he had to ask for help. And I got to assure him that he is not alone. We've all been there, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Then I did get to pray with him, and his comment to me was, "You've given me a lot to think about." And that to me is just, it's not me, it's God working in me, and that's what drives my heart to help others.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact the Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.